The time is now 7:03 p.m. and the executive session has been concluded. The participants in the executive session were Administrator Brian Berger, Town Clerk Paula Barnett, and Finance Director Philip Puckett, as well as Trustees Osanor, Rowe, Swisher, Lucrezi, Pike, and Rice. The record and myself. For the record, if any person who participated in the executive session believes that any substantial discussion of any matters not included in the motion to enter into the executive session or during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open meetings law, I would ask that you state your concern for the record. Hearing none, the next agenda item is returning to the main meeting.
So this is
we'll be going on to the consent agenda.
We take a break or are we going straight through?
I could use a bathroom break.
I could use the bathroom.
Yes.
Okay,
The next item is resumed regular meeting.
yeah, 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Public Again, we have just completed an executive session. And now we are at the point in our meeting for the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes minutes from our previous meeting, as well as Planning and Zoning Commission and the Trails Advisory Board and the Water Advisory Board. Also reports from various departments. And it includes a resolution of the Board of Trustees reappointing members of the Historic Preservation Commission and appointing Tina Bennett and Michael Westheimer as regular voting members and reappointing Thomas Brown as a regular voting member of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Also, renewing terms for Jonathan Litwiller and Jason Mayer as voting members, and appointing Cassie Elrod and Edward Zollard members, and appointing Wendy Gordon as an alternate member of the Trails Advisory Board. So we really appreciate the time that is spent by our volunteers on these boards. They're very important to us. So now we have public comment.
Couple of things. Joe has a correction for the consent agenda, and then we need a vote on the consent agenda.
Yeah,
Yeah, just one change in resolution number 77. There's a discrepancy because we are appointing Michael Westheimer as a regular voting member, but in the text in section 1, it says an alternate voting member, so we could make that amendment. So in the text, section 1, Michael Westheimer as a regular voting member, please.
okay, thank you, Joel. So are there any changes in the consent agenda? Other than that,
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
okay,
Second.
so we have Rowe and Swisher. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Now we have the public comment. So during this part of our meeting, you are invited to sign the clipboard on your way in and state that you'd like to speak. You can speak for up to 3 minutes on a topic of importance to you.
And Dakota is with him.
Okay, so no, there's no one signed in for public comment. Dakota will hear from you as part of the public hearing. So now we have a presentation in regard to planning and zoning, a new applicant. Oh,
My name is Dave Cosley. I met with the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they've referred me to you as a applicant for the board. I come with a lot of board experience. Chronologically, this was before Girl Scouts went to one council statewide. By default, I became president for about a year, which was a real learning experience because at that point, the camp north of Woodland Park was came under the gun. We'd been getting water from the Forest Service well across the highway, and they said, can't do it anymore. So we had to do an OG plan, find water, buy water. So it was a great learning experience. Next board was Green Mountain Falls Planning Commission, which I was a member of and ultimately chaired for many years. A little different than here because the developable land there is minimal. So it was mostly additions and, garages and that kind of thing. From those experiences and then being employed where a board oversaw my work, it's important to understand how boards function and the protocols that are important there. One of my work experiences that I think is valuable for this job, other than, beyond the Green Mountain Falls Planning Commission, was I'm not good with numbers of years, but I'd say 5-6 years or so. I managed the downtown Colorado Springs Business Improvement District and with board oversight. During that time frame, we redid all the curb, gutter, sidewalk, streetscape. So it was a wonderful learning experience for me there. That's it in a nutshell. And Christine ordered my nameplate, so you can't really say no. Any questions for me?
You sound wonderfully qualified. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Crisley?
So, Madam Mayor, just a reminder of process, we're having planning and zoning commissioners come before the trustees. Different than advisory board members because there are quasi judicial matters that come before them and they're acting as a decision-making body in a lot of areas instead of just a recommending body. Dave's around and available if you need his email or have questions. Certainly ask questions this evening, and then there will be an agenda item on January the 14th in the consent agenda for his appointment as an alternate member, and you all can vote then or pull it off and discuss in the agenda item or whatever you want to do. So, but we're excited. Planning Zoning Commission recommended unanimously.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Great, thank you very much. Okay, now we have a public hearing in regard to the 2025 budget. So I would like to go ahead and open the public hearing. And we could hear from the staff to the budget.
Great. Good evening, Mayor, trustees and trustees. Congratulations. This is the conclusion tonight of the 2025 budget process. I think it's been a great process this year. Really good input along the way. Good public engagement, I would say. Advisory boards, as usual, are heavily involved, which is great to see. I want to say thank you to the staff for being very responsive along the way as we've needed to make changes and provide more information. So we'll start, as the mayor said, we'll start with the public hearing portion tonight. Page 51 is my summary memo. And with the yellow highlight, just to call out the key changes from the previous meeting to the version of the budget you see tonight. So I'll go through those quickly and then pause if there's any questions that you may have. So looking first at the general fund, again, we have a structurally balanced general fund. That's the most important one. Modest 1% increase over the 2024 budget as we've discussed. I think we've got a good plan that contains our highest priorities. So things, from my opinion, are looking good going into next year with this budget. So where we're at now, I started with the highlighted section, is we have a projected $18,839 surplus in the general fund. The board talked about that last meeting, seemed to give the direction that they wanted to maintain that projected surplus to handle any number of things, such as maybe some shortfall on the revenue side that could happen, or funding additional projects as we get into the year as opportunities arise. So with that, just to call out a few changes that we did make underneath that, we moved we allocated $10,000 more under public support to the BB Heritage for their fire escape project. We allocated a total of $10,000 under public support to the Chamber and Welcome Center And as I captured it, I think is consistent with the minutes, is that $2,500 would be designated to the Civics Bee and up to $7,500 to match other grants obtained by the chamber designated to the Welcome Center. From my, just process-wise, from my perspective, that's $10,000 in the budget. The caveat or the conditions would be something that we control from the administrator and finance positions. So you won't see anything special in the budget. It's just $10,000 total there. Moving on, we reduced, so that with the additional the $10,000 or $20,000 total there, we reduced the transfer to the capital improvement fund from $309,750 to $289,750. And then we, under public support, we split out and renamed the housing needs assessment from the Chafee Housing Authority and called that out separately. And then the Chafee Housing Authority is called that now instead of admin. So I think that aligned with the request on that side. Under the capital improvement fund, the only changes there were that we increased the transfer from the marijuana special revenue fund from 100,000 to 120,000. And that is to cover the two projects, the trail rehab and expansion planning and the softball field parking lot improvements. Moving down to the street fund. We still have a structurally balanced fund there, actually with a little over $30,000 surplus projected. We did add the $25,000 for the Highway 24 and Steel Drive intersection prelim design work. So that's called out as a project there. And then again, the only other change down at the bottom, the marijuana special revenue fund transfer has increased. Any questions on any of those specific changes that we made from last meeting? Does that all sound consistent? Okay.
Trustees, no questions?
Okay,
Okay.
great. The other thing I want to just highlight, page 56, your projected fund balances. This one's important. I'll always say that. Keep an eye on the money in the future. So again, some small changes to our marijuana fund, our street fund, but I would say all funds are looking healthy. Projected fund balances, unrestricted and restricted, all look to be in line with the policies we have. I will call out, you'll see the airport fund is thin. And I think that's going to be a topic we bring up early next year. But right now we're projecting them to start with a beginning balance of 0 and then pretty close. They have a balanced budget, so end right at 0. So we may talk about airport fund more in 2025 as needed, but no concerns there as an enterprise fund. With that, I'll pause and take any questions you may have, and we can proceed with the public hearing.
Okay. Before we go to public comment, are there questions from the trustees? Okay, then I'd like to open the hearing to public comment in regard to the 2025 budget. Are there any comments from anyone here in the audience? Okay, and Brian, is there anyone on Zoom?
Nobody has their hand raised.
Okay, then I will close public comment. So are there further questions or comments from the trustees in regard to the 2025 budget? If not, I'd like a a motion in regard to the budget.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 80, series 2024.
If I may, let's pause. Let's close the public hearing. And then we can move into those resolutions.
Okay.
If that works for you all. Does that work? Okay.
Okay, I'd like to close the public hearing. And if there's any further discussion from the trustees, please state it now, or someone can make a motion.
And the memo starting on page 94, 95 outline the process and the various resolutions involved with budget adoption. If I may, just for public, with the budget adoption, it includes the 2025 fee schedule that the board has reviewed and provided input on. It approves the budget. It appropriates funds to cover the expenditures of the budget. And then it also approves the certification of the bill levy, which is the town's property tax portion. So you can see page 95 is the outline of the resolutions to consider for approval tonight.
Okay. The
Should we
first,
go in that order? So
Please.
Sorry, 179.
the fee schedule is the first one.
So I move we adopt resolution 79 entitled a resolution of the Board of Trustees for the town of BV adopting town of BV's 2025 fee schedule.
I'll second that.
Bryce and Hike. All in favor?
Aye.
It's a
Looks like
roll call vote.
Okay, thank you. So Mr. Barkowski, would you call the roll, please?
Trustee Hike.
aye.
Trustee Lucrezi.
Aye.
Trustee Rosenauer.
You should be on Zoom.
Sorry. Me?
Can we have-
Yes.
Aye.
Rowe.
Yes.
Trustee Swisher.
Yes.
Thank you,
And yes,
Trustee Rice.
No resolution.
thank you. Is anyone opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you very much. So now I would accept a motion in regard to resolution number 80.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 80 entitled "A Resolution of the Board of Trustees for the Town of Buena Vista, Colorado, summarizing expenditures and revenues for each fund and adopting a budget for the Town of Buena Vista, Colorado for the calendar year beginning on the first day of January 2025 and ending on the last day of December 2025.
I will second that.
Okay, so we have Lucrezi and Hike. And again, this is a roll call vote. Mr. Barkowski?
From the top, Trustee Hike.
Aye.
Trustee Lucrezi.
Yes.
Trustee Rice.
yes,
Trustee Rosenauer.
Yes.
Trustee Rowe.
Yes.
Trustee Swisher.
Yes.
Thank you. Is anyone opposed? Okay, the motion passes. And then we have resolution number 81. And I would take a motion to pass that.
I'll make that motion that we approve resolution number 81 entitled "A Resolution of the Board of Trustees for the Town of Buena Vista, Colorado, appropriating sums of money to the various funds and spending agencies in the amounts and for the purposes as set forth below for the Town of Buena Vista, Colorado for the 2025 budget year."
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Swisher and Lucrezi.
The second was Mika, wasn't it?
It was over here.
I was just
Okay.
quiet, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, either is fine.
Okay. So Ed, would you like to call the roll again?
Trustee Hike.
Yes.
Trustee Lucrezi,
Yes.
trustee Rice,
Yes.
trustee Rosenauer,
Yes.
trustee Rowe,
Yes.
trustee Swisher.
Yes.
Okay, is anyone opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you very much. And then we go to resolution number 82, which has to do with levying general property taxes. And Philip, I was wondering if you would take us through an explanation of what this is.
Thank you, Mayor. You picked the most complex topic within our budget. You bet. I would be happy to. So resolution 82, which is on page 127, is followed by a couple of attachments. One is the form DLG 70, which is our town certification and levy of taxes, which is what I turn around and submit to the county. The additional attachment on 129 and 130 is the certified values of properties within the town that I received from the assessor's office earlier in this process. And they have a very busy job. I actually received 3 different versions of this that modified our numbers. So a lot going on at the state level, but also at our county levels with property taxes and things. So, but the main part of it that you'll want to take a look at is on page 128, that DLG 70 form. So you'll see this is for the fiscal year 2025, but it's using 2024 numbers, valuation numbers. And so you'll see the total assessed valuation within the town is a little over $130 million. So what we end up doing with that number is equating that to revenue amounts based on mill levy amounts. So that middle section there where it has 2 columns, one with the mill levy amount that starts at 9.034. That mill levy is the town's mill levy. Okay. That is what the town is approved by the voters a long time ago as the official milling rate. And you can see what that equates to in revenue. However, we are bound by Tabor limitations and statutory limitations from year to year. Our revenue can only grow roughly equivalent to inflation. Plus new construction, new values within the town. So we actually calculate from the bottom up. So we come up with the bottom line revenue number of 631,000, close to 632,000. And then we figure out what that is in mills. So that's the 4.856. That's really what we're going to certify, and that's what people will be paying against when they pay the property tax portion for the town. What we do is a temporary reduction, rate reduction, to get us from our total mill down to that calculated mill rate to get us to the proper revenue amount. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And I didn't give Philip any advance warning on this.
No, you did not.
It seems to be particularly complicated.
It's a tough one, but the good news is, we know how to do it, and the town does every year that I've been around here. We do a temporary reduction to get down to a lower mill amount.
Can I make one
Yes.
clarifying comment or question? So in the case that if property values appreciate faster than inflation, we reduce our mill levy to make sure that our revenue doesn't exceed the Tabor limit. And so the property taxes don't go up at the same rate as property appreciation.
Not for the town. That is 100% true.
Okay.
And then this number of 631,000 is what is in our budget?
Correct.
Okay.
And we do this every year.
Yes.
Great. Okay, thank you very much, Philip.
You're welcome.
Is there a motion in regard to resolution number 82?
I move that we approve resolution 82, series 2024, entitled "A Resolution of the Board of Trustees for the Town of Buena Vista, Colorado, levying general property taxes for the tax year 2024 to help defray the cost of government for the Town of Buena Vista, Colorado, for the 2025 budget year."
Second.
We have Rice and Rowe. This is a roll call vote. So, Mr. Barkowski, would
Trustee
you?
Beck.
Yes.
He's in training to be the deputy town clerk.
Trustee Lucrezi.
Yes.
Trustee Rice.
Yes.
Trustee Rosenauer.
Yes.
Trustee Rowe.
Yes.
Trustee Swisher.
Yes.
Are there is anyone opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you very much. End of the budget.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you for all your.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
I said two budgets today.
okay. We come through lots of items here. That's good. All right, so now we have another public hearing. And I would like to open this public hearing. It has to do with the hotel and restaurant liquor license for Panchitos Lounge LLC. So first, we will hear from the staff. Is this the clerk's office? Yes, good. Thank you, Paula.
Right, good evening, Mayor and trustees. As outlined in the memo in the board packet, the trustees act as a local licensing authority and by state statute must review liquor license related applications and determine whether or not the required criteria for the approval of the license has been met. On November 7th, owners Dakota Jensen and Socorro Vasquez applied for a hotel restaurant liquor license for Panchitos Lounge located at 215 US Highway 24. The appropriate fees have been paid and the application was set for public hearing by the Board of Trustees to December 10th, and it was noticed in the Chaffey County Times on November 28th and posted on the property on November 22nd. Background checks were submitted for Dakota, and Socorro, and satisfactory results were received from the Colorado Bureau of Investigation as well as the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Proof of possession of the premises has been provided, and a needs and desires petition of the neighborhood was circulated and included with the application. Per the municipal code, the neighborhood is deemed as an area within a radius of 1 mile from the proposed premise. Police Chief Dean Morgan, Planning Director Joel Benson, Code Enforcement Officer Grant Bryans, and Chaffey County Fire Protection Interim Chief Kara Jones, and Chaffey County Consumer Protection Specialist Stephanie Nelson have completed the county department approval form and has given their approval. In reference to Chief Morgan's concerns about the patio and if the liquor premise would include that, the liquor premise map has been revised to include the outdoor patio area will have alcohol allowed on that. There is no impacts to the budget, and so staff is requesting that the board either approve with amendments, or deny the application for a hotel restaurant liquor license for Panchitos Lounge.
Thank you. Would we like to hear from the applicant? Great, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, trustees. My name is Dakota Jensen. This is Socorro. I've lived here my whole life, born and raised. And I started working with her when I was about 18 years old, and we've been working alongside each other for the last 7 years. I've always loved food and beverage. That's always been my passion. I'm actually getting to live my dream right now. I'm more of a beverage kind of guy because I enjoy the arts of it and the ability to like craft stuff. I have 5 years previously, almost 5 years at the Surf Hotel where I started as a server, and then I ended as a food and beverage manager. So I was really good at managing like large crowds, big events, anything like that that had to do with lots of people consuming lots of alcohol. Yeah, so I was always on duty and diligent and had to be the guy to call if anything was falling apart there. And I feel
I feel like this is a big opportunity. He's born here, he knows everybody. I think the biggest thing is he can create jobs within the community. All of his staff are local people he grew up with. And I think that if he is given a liquor license, he can just grow with it. The more people he can hire, the more jobs he can create, and the more money he can create for the community. I just got to this community and I got lucky. I got here 11 years ago and my kids are part of this community. And I am very blessed. We are part of the community and I don't think I will have it any other way. When we first moved to this town, I remember getting here and thinking how small it was. And, I mean, it's a big change from California and I do think of it. I remember thinking, and now I think back and I am so grateful. My kids go to a great school and this is such a great community. And, I wouldn't have it any other way now. I go to California now and I'm like, I can't go back now. This is the traffic, just the traffic alone. It's such a, no, we can't go back now. You guys are stuck with us. Our kids love it. We love the community. We are happy. We love it here. And we just want to be part of this community and we want to expand to other businesses and create more jobs and create, if we can have more businesses and create more jobs for the community, we are lucky and we are blessed. I think he is living his dream in his own way and we are dreaming our dream in our own way. This is our hard job is paying off. This is 10 years of hard work and it's finally paying off where we are doing this together, but this is his dream and this is my dream, being part of his dream and being a business partner with him. And I think I'm living my dream and his dream. We're doing it together, but in our own ways.
Great.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Do you have some other supporters in the audience?
You can tell your friends in California that it's horrible here.
People tell me and they ask me, how cold is it? And I tell them it is cold. Yeah. And I tell them, you guys should come and visit us because we love it. It looks like in the movies. And I tell them all the time. But once you get here and you get so used to I think we as humans, we're resilient. We get used to anything. But they always tell me no, that they can't get used to it. But I love it. I think we can get used to it.
Today was a little much, but.
But they always turn me down and I said, okay.
Please.
So I'm back again. My name is Dylan Jewell, and I'm just here in support of Dakota. I've known him my whole entire life. Lucky enough to call him. He's my best friend. Just from playing on the playground together from K all the way up till high school. I've just known of the type of worker he is, how respectful, how loved he is in this community from the first job I ever knew of him was El Precio, working right in the morning, 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. at night, still going to school. He is driven. He is a well-respected person in this community. He knows the problems that comes with alcohol, but that is not the type of person he is. Like he said, he's the first person to shut it down. He always has everyone's best interest in mind. And I truly could not see a better person, a better opportunity for someone here. Dakota he's the guy that will help this community grow. And I will say that till I'm blue in the face. Dakota is the guy for this. Thank you.
Good evening, trustees, Mayor Fay, and town staff. My name is Kate Shea. I live at 101 Cornell Drive here in Buena Vista. I'm here tonight to support the application for the hotel restaurant liquor license at Panchito's Lounge. Dakota Jensen is our neighbor. I have known Dakota since he was in middle school. For many years, Dakota helped us by mowing our grass, shoveling our walk, letting our dog out if we were away for the day. To this day, he helps us. He's been helping us snow shovel, and also anytime we have anything heavy to carry in the house, he's there to help us. In short, Dakota is everything you want in a neighbor: conscientious, reliable, and courteous. I am confident that Dakota will responsibly operate Panchitos with a liquor license. Incidentally, if you haven't been to Panchitos, you should go. It's delicious food at a nice small setting, a type of place where you go for a good meal and maybe a beer or a cocktail. I think it will be enjoyed by visitors in town alike, residents alike. I encourage you to approve Panchitos liquor license. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Kate. Former trustee Cobb.
Good evening, Mayor, trustees, town staff. My name is Sue Cobb, and I also live at 101 Cornell, and Dakota is also my neighbor. And just emphasize all that Kate just said, but also underscore what she said about how reliable, responsible, and helpful we've always found Dakota to be whenever we needed to depend on him. As Kate mentioned, we've known him since he was in middle school, and I've always found him to be enterprising, kind, and community-minded. On the enterprising side, he and a high school friend, maybe this guy, schooled themselves in the history of St. Elmo's ghost town, or the ghost town, and started giving tours at something like $25 an hour. So he was at it way before now. And whatever toys and hobbies he spent his hard-earned money on, he always shared graciously with all the other kids in our neighborhood. Perhaps most impressive to us was that he was one of the initiators of BB Strong in developing and selling T-shirts to help fund Gracie Johnson's college fund after the tragic accident involving her family at Agnesville Falls. He's an experienced bartender and very mindful of the importance of not over-serving. And he's invested in ensuring his staff are similarly committed. He's created 3 jobs with his business so far, and he has an experienced team, all of whom are working to build Panchitos into a special community dining spot. He's offering lunch specials for high school students and local workers. And it seems that a liquor license is pretty important in this town to competing in the restaurant business. And I think it will help him serve after work and weekend patrons as well. I have every faith that he'd be responsible with regard to serving alcohol, and that he'll do his best to continue to develop a successful business that serves the town well. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Are there questions from the trustees?
I have one question.
Yes, Cindy.
Designated at you, but I wanted to know if Chief Dean Morgan was satisfied with the change that was made that he wanted in serving on the outside patio.
Yes, he was. We satisfied with the change that was made because it included that. The first map that was presented in the application did not have the patio premise included in things, so Dean questioned that. And then it was corrected because Dakota and Coral do want to include that portion.
So the map we have is correct.
The map you have is correct, yes.
And your question is Dean seeing that? Okay with it?
And yeah. And my question was answered.
Okay.
Thank you.
He gives a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Other questions from trustees? Could you, Dakota, could you describe the various parts of your plan to prevent over drinking?
Yeah, so I actually myself need to renew my tip certification because it just expired like 6 months ago. But I already have my staff members already working on their tip certification if they don't already have that. So that's just to help them understand like basic fake IDs, how to tell somebody's intoxicated, when to cut people off, how to monitor that, when to offer food and water, and when to stop actually pouring people cocktails and just giving them juice instead of cocktails. Yeah, so I've been very vigilant on that, and I've never had a problem in my professional career with ever over serving anyone or anything like that.
Great.
Yeah, so I'm very conscientious about that, and don't really.
How does the drive-through part of your business work?
So right now it's just drive through and we do food and everything, but I think if long term, I'm going to try to do like ready to go cocktails. But we're going to have those in sealed containers where they are actually sealed, press sealed, and you have to crack a seal. And then we'll do a firm like, I don't know, like a cute festive bottle. And then that's the only thing that will be distributed through the drive-through. Everything that else is alcohol wise will have to be consumed on premise unless they want to do the proper new cocktail to go.
Okay, is that something that's required by law for you to have a sealed container like that?
Yeah, if they want to take it off the premise and take it home with them, yes, it has to be a sealed container.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? Okay, great. So are there any comments from the public? I'd like to open this to public comment. There don't appear to be any on Zoom.
Nobody has any raised.
Okay, then we'll close the public comment. Are there further questions from the trustees? For the staff or for the applicant? Okay, if not, then we will close the public hearing. And I would accept a motion to approve the hotel and restaurant license for Panchito's Lounge.
I'll make that motion to approve the restaurant and hotel liquor license for Panchito's Lounge LLC.
I'll second.
Great, so we have Hike and Row. And all in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, no one is opposed. The motion passes. Your liquor license will be approved.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay, the next item of business is the First Amendment to the Sunset Vista Master Development Agreement. And Joel, this must be your department.
It is, thank you. Thank you very much. This is not a public hearing, a regular agenda item, business item. The applicant is not here for any kind of presentation. However, his attorney is on Zoom. Should there be any questions or desire for input, et cetera.
Okay.
So the applicant, Dallas Campbell, many of you might know Dallas, he's been in the community a long time. He requested this amendment months ago. It's been in different iterations, but this a few months ago. You all might recall Sunset Vista 4 was first approved in 2005 as a three-phase subdivision. In 2008, the developer at the time filed for bankruptcy, left, and it went into a series of different financial questions, and the bank took it, and there was a lot of discussion with the town and the bank as to what could be done with that property. Sometime in that period, the town acquired those four, the bank gave us those 4 lots for Billy Cordova Park. And in 2017, the town worked with Paragon Business Ventures of Dallas at the time to recraft what the subdivision could look like. And so it went from 3 phases down to, well, up to 10 different phases. And the idea was, let's take the remaining 2 phases, phase 2 and 3, and break them up in little chunks, and so that the development could progress at a more reasonable rate without having to invest all of the public improvements for streets and water lines, et cetera, and build out over time. So that has been going well. We're through quite a few of those phases. We're in phase 8. Part of the original development agreement states that when you sell 85% of the lots, there's a requirement to begin the next phase, subsequent phase. And so at the cusp of, okay, are we, we're right there. However, there are 3 lots that are being proposed to, Dallas has a buyer for 3 of these lots. Cool, but if he sells them, then he breaks that 85% threshold, and it is a trigger into starting phase 5, and so he's hoping to have 100% instead of just the 85%. And so, so the request was, can we move it to 100% in this phase, and before we start phase 5? And so the proposal is just to amend that for this phase, allow that 100%. Phase 5 would be the next phase. I don't know why it went back to, it's supposed to be in sequential order. I'm not entirely sure the decision-making authority to create phase 8 first. I do know it makes sense from a road infrastructure point of view, absolutely. Anyway, phase 8 came first, and then phase 5 would be the next phase. Tied to phase 5 is the detention pond. The detention pond is south of phase 6 on town property. However, it was approved at the time. It was approved at the time. So there are a couple acres that go to that detention pond, but that's specifically tied to phase 5. So phase 5 would be next, then phase 6, and then phase 9 and phase 10. Phase 2, 3, 4, and 7 are done. I guess 7's out of sequential order. Anyway, so before you is we had our town attorney working on the amendment. Their town attorney worked on the amendment. We have a resolution for your consideration, resolution number 83, approving the First Amendment to the Master Development Improvement Agreement with Paragon Business Ventures LLC for the property known as the Sunset Vista subdivision.
Questions from trustees?
I do see their town attorney does have a hand raised whenever it's appropriate, Mayor.
Okay. Let's go with the attorney if he has any comments to make. And I'm wondering whether there's a downside to this from our perspective as a town.
Well, the original intent was that 85% it's to encourage and to make it such small sizes. And 85% is to encourage that there's a continual build out of the subdivision because it languished for a long time.
So that was my question is how is that 85% level? How is that protective for the town?
It just is a place that would, as far as could the town enforce that?
No, like that's in the agreement and somehow that's in the agreement and you would think that some way that trigger at 85% is protective of the town's interest rather than 100%, but I'm not sure I get it.
I know like there is this is it Midland Meadows over here, subdivision over there, and there was a stipulation within that subdivision when it was made that there was one street light that was supposed to be installed by the time all the lots were sold.
Yeah.
You might know what I'm talking about. This is a long time ago. And the developers just never installed or never sold that lot. And so it was a lot that was never sold, and therefore the remainder of those public improvements never had to be done.
Yeah.
And so there is that like, okay, you're 85%. Well, I don't know how many lots that is. Let's say 2 or 3. Well, you can't sell them until you start the next phase and go through that process. So it's just an encouragement, an incentive to
keep moving.
Okay.
So that's not necessarily protective of the town in the sense that you'd like for development to start and finish.
Yeah.
And then the second question, the offsite detention being on town property, that it is what it is, that was approved.
Yep.
How likely is something like that to be approved again? Okay,
I gotta,
so how it's set up now, there's a definite benefit. You can build all the lots, you don't have to sacrifice any of your property for a said pond. We're not revisiting that, I'm just pointing out that that's very, not to be,
in other subdivisions,
not to be repeated.
in other subdivisions, that's correct.
Yeah. So there's really no downside to changing this from 85 to 100%.
I mean, it delays when phase 5 starts, and conceivably, if that last lot is never sold, then subsequent phases never have to happen.
Therein lies my concern. That was my question. If they don't get to 100%, what happens? We sit without a street lamp, if we use your last example. So that's my biggest hesitation is this was put into place for a reason. And it feels like now that they have got a potentially large sale that puts them over that, why aren't they ready to start executing? What was the ask to then say, oh, wait, we had somebody come in, buy more than we were expecting. Great, they're good at their job. That's terrific. But why aren't they ready to just start executing phase 5, knowing that 85% was the threshold? Maybe a right question.
I would mimic what Maggie had mentioned, because if you're that close, I'm wondering why there hasn't been any start of creating that retention pond as well. I don't know why you wait to the last minute or when you get to that threshold. So I'm curious, and yeah, maybe Ryan.
Maybe Ryan can shed some light.
But
Perhaps, yeah, solicit from the applicant.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me? I don't know if you can see me. I don't see my camera on.
We cannot see you. We can see it. Yeah, but we can hear you.
Good evening, Mayor and Trustees. My name is Ryan Shea. I'm an attorney at Balcom Green, and I represent the developer Dallas Campbell. Dallas has been in discussions with a potential buyer for the last 3 lots in Phase 8. These conversations have become more serious lately, with the buyer intending to purchase the last 3 lots. However, it takes time, with any development to line up bids from subcontractors, line up financing, and get everything set with the bank. And Dallas needs more time to begin the next phase. Dallas is requesting an amendment for Phase 8 only to allow for 18 months to begin the next phase from the sale of 100% of the Phase 8 lots. This is intended to be a one-time exemption only. Dallas has worked with the town throughout the development of these phases. He has continued to develop these phases and plans to do so in the future. This is a one-time exemption so that Dallas can get his ducks in a row to begin the next phase. And I welcome any questions you may have for me.
Yeah, quick question on that one. It sounds like these last 3 lots, if I'm hearing that right, would put him at 100% of Phase 8 being sold. Is that correct?
That is correct. So from our understanding, the way the amendment would read is that Dallas would sell these final 3 lots at 100%, and then he would have 18 months to get financing, to get bids, to get everything set with the bank, paperwork, and then begin next phase, which is Phase 5. And he's done this for the past phases as well. This time the buyer just popped up more recently, and he needs more time to get everything set to begin the next phase.
So,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
if I'm understanding correctly, he's asking for basically a 6-month extension. At the end of 18 months, he is required to build, and there was 12 months. So he's just asking for a 6-month extension.
Yeah, we put in 12 months originally, and didn't hear from the applicant until maybe Friday, and he said, hey, can I have 18 months? And I said, this is how it's written, and you're welcome to come and provide a compelling rationale for 18 months, and the board could contemplate that, and then we're just hearing from the applicant.
So as it's written right now, it is 12 months, and
As it's written, it's 12 months.
but they can always ask for an extension, if I read the information correct, at 12 months for an extension. of an additional 6, is that correct?
It would require another amendment, the second amendment.
And that's our goal with 18 months. We want this to be a one-time exemption. He's never asked for an exemption before. We don't want to go through everybody's resources, both the town and Dallas's, to go forward. Again, come before you and request another 6 months when we think that it can be done within 18 months, hopefully sooner. But the reason for 18 is just to make sure that we don't have to come back again for an additional 6 months or however many months it would be.
This allows the completion of this phase.
The sale of the lots.
The sale of the lots. The remainder of the lots are owned by this developer?
I think most of the lots are owned by individuals and they're building them out. They contract out. The builder, the developer, as I understand it, is not really building the lots.
Clarification, you're talking about lots?
Yes, selling lots and then contracting out.
5, 6, 9, and 10.
What else is in phase 5 besides the retention ponds?
It's
Section of lots.
a bunch of lots in the road, and then again the detention pond is south. The original this had been brought forward 2023, the spring of 2023 with the staff, and the staff was going back and forth, requiring some lots in phase 6 to be added to phase 5 because those lots on the east side of phase 6 really are going to require, the detention pond has to be built, but you have to get the water to the detention pond. The access, the easement is between lots 133 and 134. There's a little very faint dotted line there. So the water is going to travel down and go through that to get to the detention pond, which is south of there. So anyway, so at some point there's going to have to be some additional engineering to get that through there, and maybe curb gutter, potentially some street as well in order to get it. So phase 5 includes all those lots within that, and the road, Eagle Drive, and Ibis Lane, a little bit of Ibis, or what road is that on the east? Anyway, some road connections, and then ultimately down to the detention pond, which drains the entire Sunset Vista 4 subdivision.
And right now, there is no detention pond.
It's all kind of, it goes to phase 9, the very ground where phase 9, phase 5 is, so it just goes out. So it's being taken care of, but.
So essentially, there would be no more selling of lots or development until that retention pond is completed after, if we were to move forward. So they're at a halt of completing that PIA before anything further can continue. Is that correct? For clarification? Okay. And is there any, I guess, if something would happen to the business or, hope not, but they would go back, whatever, then we'd be at they're out, and then have somebody else potentially come in, and would the next person be required to do retention pond before any start?
Yeah, the subdivision was approved, and so that master development agreement is part of that subdivision.
That goes with the property, not with the owner.
Yeah, just like the original Sunset Vista 4, Dallas bought the property with that, and that's where we had to renegotiate a new master development agreement. So there could be more negotiations if the property were to change hands for some reason. The project.
Okay.
So there is a temporary detention pond. I think as the site continues to build out, the original civil designs and engineering that went into it, the detention pond will need to be sized for, and maybe, like Joel mentioned, reevaluate it for engineering purposes, but the outside detention pond will need to be done for future development, for the future houses and and streets that get constructed. And I think that's why I was triggered with this phase.
Who's responsible for the maintenance of that pond after it's built?
We are.
Not the HOA.
I'm aware that there's an HOA.
Okay.
Are there any other PIA? It's just the retention pond. That's the only thing that needs to be complete. There's no other public improvement.
There's streets,
That-
utilities.
But they're not triggered within whatever the original agreement is.
And I think that they're triggered just by the usability rights. So the public improvements actually trigger the ability to sell the lots and to individual purchase buyers, right? And so that's kind of a little different than what we've been doing lately. But this is kind of something that was, I don't know, early 2000s, I think is when this started.
Just to make sure that was everything that was required, if there was other things that are supposed to be in that.
Yeah, and I don't mean to hijack the topic, but yeah, I just want to just kind of clarify that there is a detention pond that's been serving this since 2002, 2005, whenever that was originally constructed.
I'd like to know if our attorney, Jeff Parker, has any advice or input on this.
Not really. You're all covering the important questions. I think the reason why we added another provision that, at least in the current draft, to require that they commence phase 5 within 12 months is because we wanted to make sure that, it didn't just stall out and it didn't happen. So I think that kind of covers some of the concerns. I guess the flip side would be that you don't want to have Dallas decide not to sell the property because he's not ready. I mean, that would slow things down further, right? So there's kind of a double-edged sword here. Ultimately, I think that the market conditions hopefully, provide some incentive to the Dallas to get the property sold and developed. I find that a lot of these provisions and agreements are great, but if the market's not working, then things don't happen for a lot of reasons. And if the market's good, then it doesn't matter what you've got in your agreement and things move along. So I guess, in my conversations, I'm not overly worried with the legal issues. I think that this is not a huge change. So I don't have any serious concerns.
Would we have any recourse at all if you decided not to sell those 3 lots together, meaning he wouldn't hit 100% and would not be required to move to phase 5? Would we have any recourse or no, because we said it's 100?
Right. It wouldn't be a violation and he basically wouldn't have to proceed. So, I mean, I guess, the flip side is, if you don't change it and he doesn't sell the 3, you don't have any recourse either. It's one of these things. And frankly, your recourse, if there's a violation of the agreement, is that you don't issue any more building permits. Ultimately, when something happens to development and the developer's not proceeding, it's difficult for the town to make a development happen. You're really, most of your recourse is in getting the public improvements done, making sure you have security for those. So if something doesn't happen, you can undertake at least the public portion, which would then provide the structure for a new developer with financial ability to come in and actually continue. So, I guess I don't see a huge downside to doing this for the town. But unexpected things happen, like 2008 was unexpected. Right now, the market's pretty good. So hopefully Dallas will be able to keep proceeding with the development.
One last thought.
I mean, the overall intent of the agreement is to ensure that the public infrastructure is constructed.
I'd say encourage that the subdivision is built, right? Because the public infrastructure for each phase will be constructed. Okay. As each phase moves on. So the idea is, okay, let's encourage that the next phase progresses. And like Sean was saying with the detention, it's not needed now. It will be needed as it builds out. So Phase A, if they sell, if he sells all 3 lots now, great. If he can't because of this agreement, then it slows things down a little bit because then he's got to find 3 individual purchasers, right? Moving on to phase 5 with 100% instead of 85. I mean, it's kind of 6 and 1 half dozen the other, right? I think either way, the town's protected. It's market conditions. If Dallas sees, there's this market rationale to proceed with phase 5, then he's going to do it. If there's not a market rationale, he can still proceed with phase 5, and he fulfills the requirements, but he can go slowly, right, until it catches up. There's not like you must do it by this time. There's not a definition of what does start the next phase really mean. You could just have a pre-application meeting and start it.
All right, I'll quick hop in. I guess, like I personally I'm okay with the idea of letting them have the 100% and doing that. It's the 12 to 18 months for me is a little bit where I'm more questioning, right? To give that extra time, yes, once he sells the lots, all 3 of them, I mean, he's done, right? I guess then it goes to somebody else to deal with the rest of it, whoever be the builder. What if they don't get it done in 18 months? What's the skin off their back? They got the deal, they're moving on, and we're just kind of in the holding game. Is there something that we could put, if we give them 18 months and they don't complete it in 18 months, is there some kind of ramification or something so that there is more incentive to make sure it actually happens in the 18 months if we go that route instead of keeping it at 12? I'm just looking like, hey, I think we're willing to give a little bit. There should be a little give on that side as well. I think that's what any good partnership is about. So I'm curious, and maybe that's a Jeff question, if there's something that can be in place to say, hey, if you don't hit this, so what's to say they've got what they needed out of it, then we're kind of 2 years in, maybe longer. Where's our safety net with the other side?
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to get. I think it's a good question. I guess I don't have a perfect answer because, I mean, right now, the requirement is that if the developer sells 85% of the lots, they need to commence phase 5. And as Joel just pointed out, what does commencing phase 5 mean? It doesn't mean you have to complete phase 5 in 18 months or 12 months. So, like I said, I think it was intended to be an incentive for the developer to keep moving along, but it didn't require completion of anything. I think the issue that you have is once you do get a public improvement agreement for a phase and the developer ponies up the security, then you have deadlines in there for completing the public improvements. And then the developer's facing issues if they don't get the public improvements done. But the problem that you have with saying you have to sell so many lots or build so many lots is that that's market driven. And if the developer has a great market, he can sell them all fast, and if he doesn't, then he can't. And no matter what you say, it's not going to really get it done. It's what you need to do is make sure that you get them moving along, which is what this 85%, 100%, trigger that we have is intended to do to some degree. And then you need to make sure that you have security for the public improvements in a time frame to have those finished. But only after that, you're kind of at the mercy of the market and the developer being a good developer. I mean, I've done this a lot, and I don't have a great solution like have all the houses built and sold within so many months or whatever. It's just you really want to make sure you have the public improvements done, and you have security if they're not done, because that then creates the conditions to have these lots actually move, even if the developer's having financial difficulty. So I'm not sure I answered your question, Trustee LaCrazy, but
It was just more or less if there could be something to, if we move forward and we amend it to say 18 months instead of 12, if there was something tied to that 18-month mark of, if you don't have it done, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess, so that's the question. So maybe ideally we'd say we'd like to have a public improvements agreement signed, and security provided. I mean, that would be great, because then you have everything you need for that phase as the town. I don't know what, Mr. Campbell's attorney has to say about that. That wasn't discussed. We could always go back and have that conversation. If we give you more time, could we get maybe more, I guess, more certainty around what actually you'll have done in 18 months? And if, that might be reasonable for the town to look at, but that wasn't discussed. So we'd have to probably have more conversations about that.
I don't know if would you like to hear from me in this?
Yes.
Perfect. So the way that it's done right now is that if Dallas sells 85% or more, he has to begin the next phase, phase 5. How the amendment would read is that once he sells 100%, he has 18 months to commence phase 5. The assurance from the town is that if he does not commence the next phase within that time, then he would be in breach of the agreement. So there is assurance for the town in terms of that if it's 18 months and it's not started by that time, it's a breach of the agreement. I believe there's actually remedies within the agreement itself for a breach.
Can you define what commencing that phase would be, though? I mean, are we talking you would start the retention pond or you would start plowing out a street? Because to me, that definition is very loose.
I'm not sure exactly what it would be. What I can tell you is that that's been the language in the master. It's been the language in the phase. You're not dealing with a new developer in town. Dallas has diligently worked on this subdivision, completing phase after phase. I would understand, obviously I understand the concern generally, but I think my response that Dallas has, in good faith, pursued completion of this subdivision for the past, I don't know how many years with the word commence. And that's never been an issue up until this time he's gone through and got it done.
Yeah, I'm just new, so I want to make sure I understand as I'm driving around that neighborhood in 18 months, if commencing means, well, they've put, one driveway in, so we've started it, because I don't know what that is. So I understand that's been the agreement so far, but I just want to make sure I understand for our future, so we have an idea of what that will genuinely mean.
Yeah, it's a really good question.
Go ahead, Jeff, sorry.
No, sorry, Ryan. I mean, I would, if we drafted this again and looked at this now, I mean, it would be nice to sort of clarify what exactly does commence mean and what does a town want it to mean? And Ryan's exactly right. It's been in there since 2017. Honestly, I don't recall this. It was during my time as the attorney, but I just don't have any recollection of this. So I would certainly like to put something in there to give it a little more teeth. But I mean, we could certainly have a whole other negotiation with Mr. Campbell about this, but Ryan's correct. It has been that way from the start. And I guess I understand your question. It's a good question. And I would personally like to have it, be a little more clear if we were doing this again.
Is there anything you can think of? Jeff, is there anything you can think of that we could put in there tonight so that we could keep this moving?
Well, I think anything that we're going to put in there that changes this, unless Ryan has a good definition, is going to require Ryan going back to his client and probably getting approval for something, because what I would suggest would be something that really clarifies what commence means based on what the town's looking for. I mean, that's all I can think of, because, to me, what really matters is getting the public improvements agreement for the phase with the security. That's what really matters. Starting some grading or getting a road is, you can always stop that. You can always slow walk that. That doesn't mean much. But I think the point I was trying to make was that, market conditions are going to probably dictate. No developer wants to sit on property when they can be making money. And so, I guess the developers' interests are somewhat aligned with the town's in getting this moving forward. It's just a matter of whether or not it can be done financially. And I think the town's interest would be making sure that it has security and a public improvements agreement. So if the developer doesn't proceed in 18 months, that's a clear breach and you're not getting what you need. I mean, that's what I could think of as the best trigger, as commences a public improvements agreement with security. But I'm sure Ryan can't just say yes to that tonight.
Yeah, and you're right there, Jeff. I wouldn't be able to. And again, I just want to emphasize that I know that there's, general concern of commence. But again, this hasn't been an issue since what commence means since 2017. Dallas has worked with the town diligently during this entire time, has completed it as the town has requested. And although I understand the fear of commence, there is alignment in interest. Dallas wants to sell the lots. That's a financial gain for him. It's a gain for the town to have these lots completed and for the subdivision to look completed. He has incentive to complete phase 5, to complete the retention pond. Again, it's a financial gain for him. It's a gain for the town to have this completed look. So I guess my response would be that I understand the general concern for commence, but this hasn't been a concern since 2017, and under the, we'll call it general understanding from the developer and the town, he's never sat on this or not commenced or just put in a driveway. There's aligned interest there in completion.
Great, that it sounds like it'll be really easy to define.
Or we could just leave it at the 12-month
Or we could just leave it
requirement,
as it is.
because that gives us at least 6 months sooner information on whether or not he has commenced.
Yeah.
Then maybe we could approve this tonight at 12 months.
That's fair. I have a question. Right now, the agreement is between the town and Paragon Business Ventures. If he sells this development to another entity, some form of this agreement would have to exist between the town and whoever the subsequent developer is.
No, this is going to be recorded against the property like the original agreement. So it'll run with the land and it'll bind any subsequent purchaser.
But right now, the agreement is between us and Paragon. If there is a new developer, if he sells and there's a new developer, would we have an opportunity to redefine some of these terms, or is this thing locked in?
Well, it'll be locked in unless, both parties want to renegotiate. But that's generally how development agreements work, is they're run with the land. So it's the deal for whoever owns it. I guess I don't think I've seen one that where it basically terminates if there's a new purchaser.
I
think the mayor's proposal seems to
agreement.
Probably strike a balance between the flexibility and the concern.
Yeah.
Would you like to make a motion to that effect?
I'd make a motion to that effect. I don't know exactly what I should say.
So is that adequate?
I move we accept the amendment to the master development agreement with a term of 12 months.
Wasn't it? As it's written, yeah.
I think it's written.
That's how it's written in your packet.
Is there a second to?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have Rice and Rowe. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you so much, Mayor and trustees.
And thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I'll be here for the rest of the meeting, so.
Okay, thank you.
Sure
All right. The next item is a public hearing, and I will open that hearing. This has to do with some code changes, and I think that Mr. Benson will be about this.
Thank you, Mayor. And I do know it says public hearing for all these changes, but there are two different ordinances and two very different subjects that we could have public comment, public hearing portion for each of those. So ordinance 21, this is simply really cleanup. Used to clean up and clarify some things. We'll run through the proposed changes These were all reviewed by Planning and Zoning Commission and recommended for approval unanimously. So, hopefully, there's a regular occurrence of cleaning up code language because we always find straight periods and extra words and things like that. And the code does not have any sort of administrative change process for editing, like a period or the word the, those sorts of things. So it might be something to consider, but this is how it is. So Brian, would you advance, please? So the first is, this is out of chapter 11, and this discusses encroachments. We approved an actual encroachment process in the code last year, and within it, it has, it says that application, et cetera, should go to the Public Works Department, and it should say it should go to the planning director or planning department. So one change. We also clarified some conflicts. There are two tables in there related to R1OT code. The code says in fact, the table itself says if this one is more restrictive, it shall apply. Well, they have conflicting numbers, and so we're just making them the same. We also are adding a prohibited fencing material, which is slab lumber. This has been in practice with the planning department for as long as I know that, and it looks on the application, it says prohibited slab lumber. This is that wood that's kind of you run the log through the mill and you've got that end with the bark on one side, and it has a potential of looking pretty cool, but it has a great potential of not looking
Right.
right. And so it's just cleaning up the code to match the practice that's been in place, just to specify it because it's been a question. We're also looking to clarify language. There's right now the definition of live work says an accessory dwelling unit. Well, that is confusing because it's like, oh, it's an accessory dwelling unit. But a live work unit by definition is your residence, and you work there. And so we're getting rid of the word accessory and just saying it's a dwelling unit. There's also language specific to encroachments, specifically with the staircases, because right now there's some ambiguity. It says staircases that encroach into a setback have to be fireproof. There's no definition of fireproof, and it creates some confusion. And so we're adding steel, not metal, because someone could put an aluminum fireplace or a staircase that you just melt. Steel, masonry, or block. For the stairways, with some language, it says, hey, if there's another material and that is at least as fireproof as this, there's administrative approval allowance for that. And under the discussion of banners, there's an extra the. So we're removing that. A couple more ADU addressing. We're just clarifying that you have to address your ADU as per what the fire department says, fire code. And we're changing the comprehensive site plan procedures. Right now it says from the day you apply, there's a 7-day period to notify and get comments back from those people, which is untenable, especially if we use our post office. So we're expanding that from 7 days from application to 7 days from the time we notify. That's when the comments need to be returned. And yeah, so and then the other, we're adding specifically elucidating that you need to have deposits. We can collect deposits for site plans. Major and minor, right now, there's nothing in the code that supports that. And there's a lot of money that can be spent on site plans. And these are for small commercial or large, very large commercial. And it can take a lot of money depending, right? And so We just want to make sure there's a mechanism where we can recoup some costs, so the taxpayers aren't floating all of it. So to evaluate any code changes, you need to just ponder. Is it consistent with the comprehensive plan? Do these conflict with other provisions of the UDC or town code? Are they necessary to address a demonstrated community need? Is it necessary to respond to changing policy or conditions? Is it consistent with the purpose and intent of the zoning districts from the UDC? Would improve compatibility among land uses or result in an orderly logical development pattern, and would not result in significantly adverse impacts to the natural environment, including air quality, water quality, wildlife, vegetation, other natural features of the town. So these are things to consider, and changing some of these. It's hard to put like removing the word "the" into these criteria, but that's what we have. And with that, that is the end of the presentation. The public comment next, and any kind of deliberation, and a motion to approve with amendments, deny, continue ordinance number 21. Thank you.
Thank you. We could open public comment. I'd like to open public comment. Is there anybody on Zoom?
Somebody has their hand raised.
Okay, we'll close public comment. And are there questions for Joel or other staff members, the trustees?
I do just want to ask if we could put on an agenda at some point to discuss that language administrative update. It seems silly to have for it to come all the way up to just remove a "the" or add a period. So just while we're on that topic, if we could kind of look ahead to do that to make the process easier for the staff to be able to say, oh, missing punctuation. That'd be great.
Thank you, Maggie. Other comments from anyone? Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 21? It's in here as a draft.
It is a draft. Yeah, I mean, just in draft until approved. Draft until approved.
Okay, all right. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance number 21?
I'll make that motion. Adopt ordinance number 21.
Second.
Okay, so I have Hike and Lucrezi. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you very much, Joel.
Thank you.
The hearing is closed. I should have closed it earlier. Okay. Then we are on the town facilities office hours.
There's one more with
Is there another one?
one more ordinance on the Board of Education.
Oh, I see. It was the two, yeah. Okay, so this is ordinance number 22. Let's see. Is there more information to be given us on that?
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead, Joel.
Yeah, thank you. So this is also proposed change to the UDC. It's a public hearing, so it should be public comment. This would be evaluated through the same criteria that I had read before, and I've got a slide with those again. I'll do it in the packet as well. This is pretty much it. Helps clear up some language within the cash in lieu water right dedication language. So for staff and also for developers, it does not conflict at all with how we've been enacting, how we charge people. It just clears things up. And it also can be used to help prevent the over allocation of water resources when it's not needed. All right, so there are two parts to it. One was within residential water dedication. As you know, so this is all related to, I have an existing tap and I'm adding water to it. So I have a house and I want to build an ADU. Right now, the code, it's a little ambiguous. Okay, I've got a 3/4 inch tap and I add an ADU and I do the fixture count and now I need a 1 inch tap. So this is clearing out that we are the upsizing from 3/4 to 1. We're just going to charge that difference for water right dedication, not system investment development fee, just that increase. So right now, I've already paid $8,925 and I do a 1 inch meter upgrade. Now I need to do, it's up to $13,000. These prices actually are, this I think is your system development fee and not the water right. It's like 4,500 to 5,200 or something like that, right? So the point is you're only paying the difference between the two. When you get into a 1.5 inch tap for single family residential, I mean, you have to think that's a colossal house. So we don't really contemplate that. That's when we get into multifamily. Okay, so which gets into this different category. Multifamily or mixed use, non-residential, you've got anything, the same thing goes. I've got a 3/4 inch tap. I add a couple laundry machines and a sink to my restaurant or whatever. And now I need a 1 inch tap, you pay that difference. When you go to 1.5 inch tap, and you can think of the amount of volume in a 1.5 inch tap, that's a lot of water potentially that comes through. There's a big gap in fixture count from the bottom of what's needed for a 1.5 inch water tap to when a 2 inch would be required. And so the amount that we're charging is based on the fixture count. And so it's going to convert that little bit that you need, convert to acre feet. So you're not charging for the entire total amount of water that can go through that 1.5 inch or 2 inch tap, right? It's only the added water demand for what you're currently using to whatever additional you're going to use.
And it's based off of the fixtures that they're adding, not the diameter of the pipe and what it could bring.
Correct.
That seems like it would be really helpful.
And then what we don't do is allocate a full 1.5 inch pipe of water out of the town resources to that property. We're saving a good bit of it, probably for some other thing. We're only charging that acre feet. And so it specifies when you're doing an upgrade, change of use or adding some sinks or doing whatever it is, you've already got existing service, you're going to be charged the water according to the fixture count, not according to the whole.
Ever envision a mechanism to audit that in future years? You only said you're going to use this much water and your whole property was landscaped with rock. And after this is all said and done, you put in a soccer field and you're using way more water than you proposed at the outset. I mean, that's not part of this discussion, but it does, and that'll probably dovetail into some of our water conservation discussions at a future date, but it seems like it'd be neat to have some way to audit that in future years.
Well, when a building permit comes in and we're deciding and we're looking at fixture count, we look at potential landscape area, not, oh, hey, this is xeriscaped.
Okay.
And the calculation is like, yeah, you've got 100 square feet of landscaped area. Well, we're charging, 100 square feet of landscape area.
Your assessment of that will be probably more realistic or conservative of the water that they would be used.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, when you come fixture count, you can always have some plumber come in and add some things without a permit. But really, it's triggered with a permit. You get a permit or you're changing water at all, you do a water tap application and we see, yeah, you're changing the fixture count.
This seems equitable and a way not to over allocate water.
Yeah, so those are the two changes. They're outlined, the wording is outlined. And you think about the criteria, it's really to help clarify again. Because different staff have kind of regularly asked, how do I do this? And we always have to remember how it's done, and this clears it up, and then developers can also read it and they're like, okay, this is clear and there's less tension, if you will. So anyway, after public comment, the board would entertain a motion to approve with amendments, deny or continue ordinance number 22.
So is there any public comment?
Nobody has their hand raised on Zoom.
Okay. I'll close public comment. Is anyone ready to make a motion on this
I move.
proposed ordinance?
Yeah, I move we adopt ordinance 22, series 2024, entitled an ordinance of the Board of Trustees of the Town of Buena Vista, amending section 1605536 of the municipal code concerning water dedications.
I'll second that.
Okay, Rice and Hike. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Now we are on item I, which has to do with the town facilities office hours. This must be you, Mr. Berger.
I'm stretched here. Okay. This is something this is a conversation that's been discussed in the past as far as internally. Probably not something we would bring, or at least I would bring as a first adopter, but at this point, we're a last adopter. As far as employees, you look in the valley, the direct competitors for our employees is the county and the other municipalities, and each one has had the discussion and amended their hours. The county switched to 4 days a week a couple of years ago, and even at that point, when I was working on the southern end of the county, there is a noticeable decline in the level of activity that happened in our town hall, just from the county operating on that day. Salida has since adopted that policy. They've been in a period of being closed on Friday as well since earlier this year. And then even Poncha Springs, which I never thought would do it, experimented with it as well, with closing that half days on Fridays. It's one of those things that I think it's a component of retaining and attracting employees. It's small, but those small things do add up, and the idea of providing a little bit of flexibility. By having discussions internally, I don't think we're staff, as current staff, in favor of closing on Fridays. We want to still provide that level of service to the community on Fridays for those interested in conducting business on Fridays. But by closing on noon on Fridays allows what is a very rigid schedule. You have to work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, provides a number of different structures for that same employee. They can still work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with kind of focus time in the afternoons without the interruptions, limited interruptions. They could work 4 nines and a half day on Friday, or kind of after conversations and certain coverage on that morning period on Fridays, could front load it to 4 10s if need be. And so it's that opportunity to provide just some flexibility away from the rigid structure. As an organization that provides a number of different services across the board, it also already has a number of departments working various schedules from 4 10s in the PD, and water department is a good example. Town Hall East, which has the planning department, utilizes Fridays as focus time, which goes a long ways with reducing the interruptions. Rec, of course, has night practices and games on weekends and special events, so they're all over the place. Airport has to provide weekends or coverage on weekends during the summers. So it's a discussion that's come up through a few interviews over the last year, for front of house employees, as I would call them. So it seemed worthwhile that it's come up enough to at least have the conversation with you guys. And if it would come up in the future, I could say, well, I had the discussion and here was the result. So that's what I have.
So would you like us to have a motion to approve this strategy?
I would, yeah, at least the motion could involve authorization of alteration of the regular office hours to include closing at noon on Fridays. As far as timing and implementation, it kind of gives that autonomy for the staff to implement.
Great.
But clarifying question, I guess. So would this be any employee kind of pick their own hours or how they're going to do their hours? And could that change week to week?
I suppose at first I would assume most will find their preferred schedule. It'll be, I wouldn't say employee to employee, I'd say department to department, and then employee working with their supervisors.
And I'm fine with that. I think that is important. I think added incentives to keep good employees here and things that we can do, because at a certain point, it does get harder and harder to continue to increase or offer large amounts of money after we go through the budget. It gets tricky. So I think that stuff's really important. I guess the only request I'd have if moving forward with that would be if there's a way that something could be published so that the public knows each department or however it would be broken down, and just for that transparency so people know, okay, I can go visit this group on this day, might be different from this department, but just to eliminate potential, frustrations. But otherwise, I think this sounds fine to me.
Good. Other points of discussion? Questions, comments, motion?
I'll make a motion to authorize an alteration to the regular office hours of town facilities to include closing at noon on Fridays, effective whenever town wants to make it effective.
I add one thing real quick before we move to the second. We're in the business of serving the public, and I guess, and I have full confidence that you guys will be attentive if there are service complaints to transform alternate ways to provide that service.
With that amendment.
Yeah.
A thought in mind, yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second from Hike and Rice. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the motion passes. We have item J. To consider and discuss cancellation of the Board of Trustees meeting scheduled for December 24th, 2024.
We have an abundance of time allotted for this discussion.
So much time allotted.
I move we cancel the Christmas Eve meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, now we have Rice and Hike. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Great, okay, the motion passes. We will not be meeting on December 24th.
26 seconds.
This is all right. Plenty of time.
I was like, what does it say?
Cut down some of those other two.
Okay, so now we are at employee trustees staff interaction. And tonight we are pleased to honor Gina Lucrezzi and thank her for her solid contributions to the town of Buena Vista. Although we are losing a great member of the Board of Trustees, we are pleased to see Gina take on another important role in Chaffey County. We know that she will work hard, attend meetings, seek citizen input, listen carefully, ask questions, make good decisions, and commit for the long term. Gina also.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, geez.
We're right behind you. Gina
Yeah.
also gives her time generously to Search and Rescue North, having been training director and officer providing for the demanding missions that save wayward or injured people. This is in addition to running her own business, Trail Sisters, building on her experience as an award-winning trail runner. We will miss Gina's boundless energy on the board, and we wish her well in her new role. Thank you, Gina.
Thank you. They're gonna make me all teary and blushy and
so, yeah, nice plaque for you in appreciation for your dedicated service to the citizens of the town of Buena Vista.
Thank you. Don't have to do that.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you all, everybody. Just, it's been, thank you all so much, but it really has been an honor to be a town trustee and to serve the citizens of Buena Vista. And, I've learned so much from this role all about municipal government. My undergrad was TV film, so it's not like I had to, and I ran a trail running business. So just learning about municipal government and all the policies, how it works, obviously stewardship and leadership. And I picked that up all because of an incredible staff. And then also getting to work with my amazing colleagues here as board members. And there's just a few in the, I guess Sue was here tonight and Peter as well. But, it's definitely an experience that I'll definitely always cherish and actually one that I can contribute in preparing me for the role of county commissioner, to be honest. Each of you has brought something special to me in my journey here and within my life to, just that has made me very grateful and that I can take that forward with. And that means a lot to me. I wouldn't have known anything about water if I wouldn't have had a chance to pick Joel's brain. Everybody has done something, I know. And I remember sitting down with you, Philip, about trying to understand the mill levies and things like that. And budget is still very complex and gets even bigger at the county level. But I still have a lot to learn, but there has been something I've been able to take away from everybody. And I'm super grateful for that. But I don't consider this as actually a goodbye. I see it just sidestepping a little bit to work with you in a different capacity. But I am really excited to continue the conversations and hopefully, just the opportunities that together collectively, there's collaboration that, we can offer the betterment and well-being of the community. So BV is important to me and can better bet that you're looking out for us at that level. But like I said, it's not goodbye. It's just kind of sidestep. So, but anyhow, thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate it.
So Gina, you're resigning tonight, right? But not effective until December 31st.
Correct. So if you need anything if there would be a special meeting or something, I'd be available until the last day 31st. Right. So, but last meeting and such. Yeah. So
cool.
Bittersweet for sure.
It's been great.
And who knows, maybe in who knows how many years you might see me again. I don't know. See people come back around. So
okay. That's what I had to contribute to trustee staff interaction. Maggie?
Thank you for everything you've done. Good luck. So exciting. See you at the IG meetings.
Yeah.
See how it changed. Other than that, just a really big thank you to all the staff for the year and for everything as a new trustee. Just everybody's made me feel overwhelmingly welcome. And I never hesitated to reach out with a question because I knew it would be received with really great support. So thank you for that. It's been a really fun experience so far. Looking forward to next year. I think that's it.
Andrew?
Nothing.
Hello?
Thank you all. Great year. Looking forward to a good one next year and great working with you, Gina, and look forward to continuing to do so. Yes.
Ed?
Glad to be here.
Paula?
Let's see, a couple of things, but I don't know what Brian's gonna say and what I might not say, so we'll tag team it, okay? I'm not gonna steal your splash. Anywho, town Christmas party, Thursday. 4 to 6 at the tavern. Yes. Just that, and everyone have a wonderful, beautiful holiday / Christmas season. Happy New Year. Gina, the best to you.
Oh, thanks.
Ryan.
I'm gonna miss.
So Gina's gone. So staff will kind of initiate the appointment process. We will put out a notice of vacancy probably within the next week or so. We'll collect applications over the next month, and then once those are collected, we'll kind of schedule a time for those applicants to present kind of Q&A with you guys, and then we have an opportunity after that at a following meeting for you guys to appoint. And so we've got a window there where the board members can appoint the succession, or else it triggers a special election. And no, we don't want to try to train Ed on it. So that's the big one for me.
So,
we have a new planning director that'll be on board for the next trustee meeting. And so I'll be taking my plaque, and maybe there'll be another one with a different.
I was like, you're just gonna get a different.
Unless something happens in the next few weeks. We've got a few of them sports.
right. Never mind.
Anyway, Gina, enjoy the county.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we'll catch up to you. And Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
John.
Yeah. Gina, it's been great. As well as working with all of you, I feel like, the people that I've been able to work with for the last 7.5 years and change, or whatever that is, including, the team here, getting Brian on board. That was a good one. There. Hopefully pass the test today. I'm joking. I love the team, and I think you guys have done a fantastic job over the years. And yeah, Gina, you're great. You're gonna rock it. So yeah, and I know you know that. You got it still. So.
Oh, thanks. Well, I might be bothering you for some, like I said, I'm still learning quite a bit, so you get kind of, hey, I have a question about this. Watch out.
We're still fixing leaks, so you saw that big unaccounted, but yeah, we knocked down like 40 gallons a minute, maybe or so yesterday, and it looks like we're digging up another one today, so. Upper zone.
Getting there.
So, anyways. But yeah, you guys I don't see it, but you're probably, maybe we'll have a good holiday.
Mika, are you there?
I am. Yep. Thanks for your patience with me tonight and always. And I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. I'll see you at the party with my kids and family on Thursday. And otherwise, that's it from me. So thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for working on their evaluations, especially department heads as well. I think Paula and Philip got to do the most evaluations. You had to do self, and you had to do Brian's evaluation as well. And you had to sit through us too. So,
Then we sit through Brian.
and Brian.
Yeah, you're still not done.
Exactly. And so thank you all for working on those, and for Libby for helping me. That was really appreciated, and not as painful as I thought it might be. It's only a little painful. And thanks for town for consistently scheduling the holiday party when I'm not here. So it'll be another.
Oh, really?
Well, I'll be in Mexico, so I'll be okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
You'll be
Yeah.
missing us so badly from
Yeah, me
that
too.
warm weather.
Cindy?
Just Merry Christmas and see you guys in the new year.
Yeah. I just want to thank all your staff. Folk, you make this a lot of fun. It's really good, and I appreciate all of you. And I appreciate my board members. But thank you very much, and yes.
Well, I thought maybe someone in this photo would talk about the Saturday splash.
It's cold. It was cold.
The cool thing is, not only do you see Tony LaGreca, who serves on 2 of our boards, Lopi, Brian, Earl, there is one man over here who played it smart, he didn't take the plunge. But we started, on Thursday afternoon with a little fundraiser. And it was if we could raise $250 that Brian would take the plunge. We ended up with $388. Dave said, since it was partly his idea, that he wasn't gonna let Brian jump or plunge alone. So this was Saturday afternoon.
And then Earl just got suckered into it, right?
Well, Earl always, it's my understanding Earl always does the plunge, but he did it with the town and so did Tony.
That was awesome.
That's a beautiful
Yeah.
picture,
Yeah, it's
too.
great.
Also, there was Al Smith, who's our engineer that we hired, he plunged. Yeah, so thank you for everybody who contributed to Toys for Tanks.
Yep.
So.
Do we know who took the picture? Did
I was there, but I was hiding behind the bushes.
Yeah, with that guy in the on the rock, yeah,
In the
in
stone
the
house.
river, I think that's who it was, but I'm.
That is a good photo.
Okay, last item.
I'll make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Great, okay, Mike and Betsy.
I should let you do it.
Okay, all in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The meeting is adjourned.
All right.
So much for
Bye,
Jeff.
Jeff.
Sorry, Jeff.
I've had my fair
Good
share.
night. Happy holidays.
Thanks, Jeff. Happy holidays.